Okay, so this right here is a bit of a departure from the normal stuff you'll see on this channel. I know it's more of a car, video game, computer nerdy kind of channel, but this is pretty interesting to me. So, for those of you who don't know, I live in a really old neighborhood, and there's quite a lot of power outage whenever like we get big storms or wind and stuff like that. And I was perusing Amazon, as one normally does when they're extremely bored, and this little hand crank radio and the bigger version, I believe it's called the FX3, were on sale. I've been looking at them for a while, ever since I used to work at this old electronics store called Fry's, and they were about double the price back then. I think I got this one for about $19, I got the bigger one for about like $29. And my interest was officially piqued, and so I decided to pick them both up. With this one, it is the FRX2 hand turbine AM/FM weather radio. It's made by a company called Eton, and it has a lot of American Red Cross branding, which makes it fairly interesting. So on the back it says the FRX2 is a compact hand turbine rechargeable AM/FM and weather band radio, complete with USB charging and LED flashlight, handy during power outages or for everyday use in the house or car. So for me especially, one, I do live in this old neighborhood, but also I do a lot of camping stuff and off-road adventuring with my friend and camping with the family and that kind of stuff. And this really seemed like a good idea, especially out here in the desert where flash flooding can happen in an instant. If you look at a lot of videos online, you'll see a bunch of guys off-roading, having fun, and the next thing you know, flash flood. Anyway, back to the features on this thing. It is an AM/FM radio, no weather band, which is one of the main reasons why I got it. 500 milliamp hour USB charging, so for the phone with the hand crank. Bright LED flashlight, hand crank power, glow-in-the-dark locator. Now the locator is actually a ring that goes around the actual flashlight bit. I'll show you that in more detail later. DC power with included mini USB cable, internal rechargeable lithium-ion battery, headphone jack, and alarm clock. Now inside the box includes the FRX2 radio itself, the owner's manual, and a mini USB charging cable. So let's check this thing out. Manual, and here is the actual radio. Honestly, it looks a lot more almost rugged than I was expecting, especially compared to what it's supposed to be. And it's actually a bit smaller, quite compact, and fairly light. Like it doesn't feel overly cheap, but it's definitely not substantial. The hand crank itself is completely plastic. So you turn it on.
You're rah-rah for Reagan, mad for Madison, crazy for Carter, or God. Less than a foot. Thursday night, clear. Light winds. Waves less than a foot. Lows near 50. Friday, sunny. Light winds. Waves less than a foot. Highs near 70. The forecast for Virgin Basin, Overton Arm, Temple Basin, today, sunny.
So here's the FRX2. This is on max power with the antenna fully up.
Light winds. Waves less than a foot. Lows near 50. Friday, sunny. Light winds. Waves less than a foot. Highs near 70. The forecast.
So there's the FRX2, and here's the FRX3 Plus.
Sunny. North winds 10 to 15 miles per hour, decreasing
That's
to under 10 miles per hour in the
compared to
afternoon.
maximum on this.
Waves less than a foot. Highs in the lower 50s. Tonight, mostly clear. Light winds. Waves less than a foot.
So it looks like the only actual weather band that works in my area is number 7. From what I've heard, that is what it normally is. If I remember correctly, each part of the states is divided into like what channel they use, and our channel for the Vegas area is 7. And honestly, I like the way it looks. Now up here is the actual solar panel itself, the antenna, as you can probably obviously tell. Let's turn that off real quick. Sound quality is not the greatest, but to be honest, you're not really buying it to do any like long-term listening. You're buying it as like a, oh, oop, something's wrong, I better get something to charge or get some information. So solar panel here, very low power speaker here. You got your volume dial and your tuner and selector for the function. So the first one right here is the AM selector. Turn that. FM, there's a weather band, and this is cell. So if you're gonna charge your phone, you gotta make sure that it's turned all the way to cell, or else it might not work. Well, actually it won't. As for the actual tuning itself, that's controlled by this dial here.
Realtors are members of the National Association of Realtors. liquidado por $20 al mes.
So one thing I do like about this one compared to the other ones is that it does have a digital tuner. Back in the day, most of these little guys had analog tuners. Now I know some people do prefer the analog tuners because it is a little bit harder to mess them up with like electromagnetic pulses and stuff like that. And I realize that is a totally super low chance of happening kind of event. But at the same time, digital tuners are much easier to use, and I like digital. I'm a millennial, that's what we do. Now here's the actual flashlight itself. It doesn't appear to have any kind of selector for dimness. It is fairly bright actually. 3 LEDs, and you can see around here is the glow-in-the-dark ring that I was talking about earlier. Here's the power switch. Other than that, it's a very simple radio. The battery is located inside here. It is held in with a screw, and down here you can see the actual port. So up here is a headphone jack. It's a 3.5 millimeter. Got a micro USB, mini USB, and then you got the USB cable right here, full sized. It does not appear to be waterproof at all, so if you are going to be storing it somewhere possibly wet, I would definitely put it inside some kind of plastic or weatherproof bag. And the actual hand crank itself is fairly easy to turn. Turn it off. Now from what I've seen online, you will have to be cranking this for about 3 to 5 minutes to get any usable charge out of the cell phone, and that's maybe 3 to 5% of battery. So about 1% a minute. That being said, you know, power's out, it's been gone out for 8 hours, you really need to make a phone call. I'm pretty sure you're gonna crank this as long as you need to. Overall, I'm pretty happy with this thing. I'm actually gonna be giving this to my mom because I feel like, you know, everyone needs like an oh shit bag just for stuff that's happening. Overall, very happy with it. I like the way it looks, fairly sturdy, and it's super utilitarian. Again, it's got the flashlight, the weather band, the AM FM radio, cell phone charger, a little solar panel on top to charge your phone if you, or charge the actual battery itself, which I think is an amazing little function. One thing is that this display function, or this little LCD display, appears to always be on. I doubt it's taking much battery, considering it is a 500 milliamp hour battery, or I believe that. I doubt it's taking much battery, and it is functional in the sense that it can be a clock. It's not rubberized in any way, although plastic does feel good quality. I wouldn't drop this over and over, or I wouldn't place it in somewhere where it can get damaged. But for what it is, it works fairly well. And all this for like 20 bucks, I don't really see a problem with having it. It's pretty awesome. So again, this is the Eton FRX2 radio. So if you like this video, hit like. If you want to see more stuff on this channel, mostly like race car, drift car, off-roading, exploring, computer nerd stuff, some video game stuff, hit subscribe, and do whatever else you guys do on the internet. Have a good one.